there's lap time in it, because if you can kind of find the tricks and the kind of loopholes that exist within the infrastructure of the game, it can add up to a second, 2 seconds over a lap, which, for me is really frustrating, because I'm there like driving the race car to what I think is how it would be driven on the track and like at the limit of it. And you're so far off. I mean, an example is I was testing a barber in an Indy car yesterday, and like I was 0.6 below the pole time and like sweating to try and get the lap. And like for me, I pulled everything out of it. Like it was my theoretical, everything was there, all the sectors were put together. And then I just out of curiosity Googled, what the record is around there, and it was like 3 seconds quicker. And I at that point I just turned it off and went to bed, because it was like, this is ridiculous. So there's a lot in it. There is a talent to being a sim racer, and the guys that are pros at it are phenomenal, and I have huge respect for them, because the pressure that they're under to find hundreds of seconds every corner is pretty amazing. But certainly not something that I have the skill set for yet.
And we'll be back with a whole lot more with Alex Rossi when we return here to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. Don't just shred your way through any off-road rugged terrain. Get into gear with GSP XTV and let us redefine your adventure. The GSP advantage of quality and performance sets a standard for UTV axles. We strive to provide premium ATV and UTV axles to keep you shreddy ready. Kick up some dirt and get in the driver's seat with GSP XTV. With over 35 years of experience, drive with a company you can trust. Drive with GSP. For more information, please visit us at gspxtv.com today.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We got Indy 500 champ, Mr. Alex Rossi, on the show. Alex, we're talking a little bit about sim racing and iRacing, and we got this whole IndyCar iRacing challenge thing coming up, and I guess what really has me interested. I know the hours that like my NASCAR team, those drivers put in the sim, and I mean for a race they're putting 200 hours in a sim, and we've got 4 or 5 guys doing data setups and things like that. Like there's so much time investment, and I feel like you're going up against some IndyCar racers who have actually spent a lot of time in the sim and have developed setups, and now they're doing a lock setup for you guys where everybody's running the same setup. Whether it's good or bad, you guys at least have the exact same car. So it gives a guy like you who probably doesn't have the hundreds and hundreds of hours in the iRacing sim, it at least gives you a shot where you're running the same setup as everybody else,
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think I'd participate either way, or if that wasn't the case, I should say. But I'm still quite a ways off. So I need to work on other excuses. Hopefully by Saturday to justify it.
Bourbon, it's a good excuse, right? Bourbon. No, I was up too late with a bourbon. Sorry, I'm a little laggy today. So going back to the bourbon, I got a question for you. I was actually in Indy, last year at the 500, and I had a buddy, and I like to dabble in a little whiskey myself, and I'm actually a bourbon fan. But have you been to, I think it's called Hotel Tango Whiskey there in downtown Indy?
I have. Yeah, I used to live.
What's that? Whoop.
Nice space. The spirits are great, and the fact that it's all kind of done under one roof, everything from gin, vodka, whiskey, moonshine. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. No, I didn't know it existed, and I had a buddy, and we were there, and I was like, man, and then, the whole whiskey thing popped up. I'm like, I bet Alex has been there, but I laughed that you're a bourbon guy, and because we've got, I am absolutely anti-Scotch. Completely can't do it. I like a little bit of Canadian whiskey. Like I feel like you're probably kind of got a little bit of the same taste palette as me. I mean, where are you at in regards to stuff like that? Canadian whiskey, I'm sure, is good. Not a Scotch guy, or are you a Scotch guy?
No, not a Scotch guy. It's funny. I started out kind of, I guess, being a Scotch guy-ish until I got introduced to bourbon, and then kind of my world changed. So my gateway bourbon, if you will, was Basil Hayden's. So that was the first thing I had where I was like, okay, that's actually really delicious. In terms of my top three at the moment, I'd say everything from a Weller Antique to a Michter's 10 to a Old Fitz 13 are maybe in my top three. But I've been fortunate enough to kind of have friends in this community to be able to like source some of the allocated bottles and such. But yeah, man, it's crazy how popular it's become, and it, almost as much fun, if not more fun for me than drinking it, is actually just the hunt and like going out to these random liquor stores across the nation, kind of where I am for races or tests or whatever, and stopping in and seeing if they have anything that's a good price. And I'd say 1 in 15 times you find something cool, and it's like a little victory. So that part is almost as much fun as drinking it.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure too, you travel as much as you do, and like there's little local distilleries, things like that, and you get a chance to kind of try some things out. Like I guess, I know race weekend you're not necessarily, really drinking, but what I mean. It gives you an opportunity to kind of, I guess it's a fun hobby. Let's put it that way, right?
No, 100%. Yep. It's crazy how much money it takes up as well, which is frustrating, but I guess that's the same for all hobbies. The money fits.
Yeah, exactly. Hence why I haven't totally jumped into the sim racing thing yet either, because all of a sudden I'm going to have a $30,000 sim, and my wife's going to be like, "Why do we have this?"
Yeah.
So I do have one thing to bring up. I know you're a Patriots fan. As all this is swirling, the one actual news story out of real sports has been Tom Brady. Obviously, he's leaving New England. Obviously I'm an Arizona guy, so I'm a Cardinals fan, but Patriots have always been kind of my number two. And Brady, like I feel like as a Patriots fan, it's like I feel like nobody really feels. I think a lot of people were thinking people are going to hate Brady for moving. Like I feel like we're all kind of justified, and we're still Tom Brady fans. I don't know. How are you feeling about this whole thing, Alex?
No, 100%. Like I always said that I was a Tom Brady fan more than I was a Patriots fan. But then, having watched the Patriots for so long, I became a fan of a lot of the other players on that team. Some of which are still there, some of which are leaving or have already left. But yeah, ultimately, it's going to be very interesting and exciting to not only see how Tom does at the Bucs, but then also how the Patriots do without Tom, right? Because there's always been this question of, can Tom, have the success without Bill, and can Bill have the success without Tom? And I think now, in a roundabout way, not a black and white way, but we'll get an answer to that at least a little bit. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. And from a guy that's collecting a big salary now, I mean, it's probably pretty smart to go to Florida where it's tax free, isn't it?
Yeah. That's I never even looked at it that way, but I think you're absolutely spot on with that. But yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah. And it's funny, I was reading, so you became a Patriots fan. So when you were in Europe, that was the only American football you got, right?
It was Patriots or Packers, which is weird. That was the only thing that was actually made it over to a broadcast. So it was before like streaming services and NFL Game Day Pass or whatever, or Red Zone, or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know what type of deal either those franchises or the NFL had with like the European sports networks, but it was Packers, Patriots. Those were two options.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, too, because I know in Mexico, the Los Angeles Dodgers have a lot of Hispanic fans, and it's because the Dodgers in a lot of areas of Mexico, that's the only games that are aired on TV, and it's funny that certain teams kind of have that with certain countries, you know what I mean? And it just develops fan bases in these areas, where it's the only thing. I know, like the Seattle Mariners, I think, are really big in Japan. And it's because those games are actually aired over there. It's kind of weird the way that works. And I guess it's smart for certain franchises if somehow you can get those exclusive deals in certain countries, man, builds that international fan base. So Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm sure it's just how much money you want to spend, like most things in life.
Right. Right. Well, one thing I've never asked you, we've had you on a lot, but, I know we've talked about kind of your career in Europe, things like that, but I don't think I've ever actually really asked you, how the heck did you get your start in motorsports? I mean, what was your gateway drug? I mean, what was the opener, because I know a lot of people, their dads race, things like that. I mean, what was your first, what was your first, I guess, gateway into motorsports where you went, oh man, I like this. This is what I want to do.
So my dad was a landscape contractor. So the farthest thing from a race car driver or being involved in motorsports, but he actually lost his father at a pretty young age when he was about 12 or 13 years old. And one of his fondest memories that he ever had with his dad was going to motor races. And they actually went to a 500 when he was a kid. He doesn't remember much of it, but he was there nonetheless. And so kind of from like a young age, I was an only child, and my dad was quite a young dad and such. So to kind of have the similar kind of memory that he had with his father, he started taking me to the kart races at Laguna Seca. And so was kind of there watching Michael drive, Zanardi, Max Pappas, D'Amata, a lot of these guys in the golden era of kart, which became Champ Car, obviously. And so that was kind of our yearly trip that we took as our father-son bonding trip, if you will. And so that was kind of the first introduction to motorsports, but still through my young years, I played, t-ball and basketball and soccer and peewee football and all that sort of thing. And then for my 10th birthday, he took me to Las Vegas to kind of do a go-kart experience, go-kart school. And it was supposed to be kind of just a 3-day kind of gift to kind of drive in a go-kart. And at the end of it, the guy was like, Alex is actually pretty good, and he picked it up fairly quickly, and you should look at getting him into karting. And my dad was like, well, you're just trying to sell me a go-kart, and kind of dismissed it. But then for kind of the weeks and months after that, I kept telling my dad how much, I wanted to do it again and all this stuff. So he finally kind of caved and signed me up for an arrive and drive go-kart program at Sonoma Raceway at Sears Point. And it kind of all just snowballed from there.
Yeah. Well, and I know still to this day, your dad, I mean, he's highly involved in your program. It's funny because you said he came from landscaping and stuff, but now, I mean, he's highly involved, right? I mean, he's got a really good knack for the business side of this and things like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's been there since literally, obviously, day one in Las Vegas through every race. He hasn't missed a race. I'd say 70% of the tests. He's been my manager through everything that we dealt with in Europe and Formula One, and never really had anyone else working for us other than him and I. So we kind of learned the ins and outs of the business together, and now he's pretty kind of highly regarded in the young junior driver category for American kids, and he looks after 3 or 4 drivers coming through the Road to Indy program, and he's kind of made a new career for himself as a motorsports manager, which is pretty spectacular to see, considering it was all kind of on the job training that he learned through the processes with me. So he's been instrumental in really everything, and wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today without his influence and without his help.
Well, we got a whole lot more, too, to catch up on here, Alex, but we've got to take a commercial break, and we'll be back with more with Alex Rossi here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further other than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter